and welcome to our channel. We have been looking forward for months here to going to see the new movie called Cabrini from Angel Studios, which is about the life of St. Francis Xavier Cabrini, and we finally got to go see it.
So today we have a movie review for you, since several of our viewers have asked us what we thought about it.
We also have a very interesting book about the life of Mother Cabrini to share with you in case you want to dig a little deeper into her life.
And we also have a couple of fun facts about her that we hope you'll enjoy, so let's get started.
If you're not familiar with Mother Cabrini, she was a Catholic nun from Italy who came to America in the late 1800s to New York City to help work with the Italian immigrants there, a lot of whom were just living this terrible life of hardship.
So she later became a U.S. citizen and was the first American to be declared a saint. So that's your first fun fact.
The movie focuses on the first few years of her work in New York City when she arrived with her sisters, the Missionary Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and how they had to overcome so many incredible odds, even just to start their work with the poor.
So we'll say up front that there were many things about this movie that we liked and appreciated.
For starters, it was really awesome just to be sitting in the movie theater watching a whole movie about Mother Cabrini because, honestly, there aren't a lot of movies like that, and her story was just so amazing and inspiring. She was on fire with love for Jesus, and she wasn't going to let anyone or anything stop her from doing that important work.
So we think it's wonderful that this movie gives the opportunity for so many people to learn about her. And the actors also did an excellent job bringing the story to life. We felt like we were right there on the streets of New York City or in the Vatican with them.
We think that cinematography played a big role in that. The movie is definitely a work of art with so many scenes that are incredibly beautiful. For instance, there's one scene that shows Mother Cabrini just walking into the Vatican by herself to take on the Pope. So that was definitely a moment beautifully captured.
So it really shows the difference that one person can make. This was a really rough time in U.S. history, and the Italian immigrants really needed a champion, and Mother Cabrini and her sisters stepped in to aid them when everybody else just turned a blind eye.
At the end of the movie, a big map came on the screen, and it showed all the places in the world where Mother Cabrini eventually traveled with her sisters to establish hospitals and schools and orphanages. So that was really cool to see, and there was definitely a lot that we really loved about this movie.
But to be honest, there were some things in this movie that we wish were different, and we wanted to just be upfront about those.
We always try to be honest here on our channel, and we know from reading this book about her life that Mother Cabrini was all about the Sacred Heart of Jesus. She was completely devoted to him. Everything that she did in her work in her life was to honor and serve Jesus. In fact, one of her favorite prayers was this one. O Sacred Heart all-knowing, O Sacred Heart all-powerful, O Sacred Heart all-seeing, O Sacred Heart provide for us, O Sacred Heart think thou of us.
So as Catholics, we were disappointed that her reliance on and her devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus was just completely left out of the movie. The movie doesn't even mention that her sisters were called the Missionary Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus.
To us, it felt like the movie was depicting Mother Cabrini as relying more on her own willpower and strength than drawing her strength from God.
So she was definitely a very fiery woman, though, a force to be reckoned with, which is great. But we know from her letters that how much she truly relied on Jesus. So it's kind of sad that that part was left out.
So honestly, the movie just didn't feel very Catholic to us. Yes, it's about a Catholic nun, but you never see the nuns doing specifically Catholic things like praying with the children or attending Mass together, which they absolutely would have done. Even when she goes to see the Pope in the movie, the Pope was Leo XIII, who famously told her, go west, not east, but we never even get to hear his name, and that just seemed like really odd. He was just some random Pope, and this was Leo XIII. He was a big deal.
So the movie felt more political than Catholic to us, if that makes sense. It felt more like one woman against the political machine than a group of sisters serving Jesus.
And yes, we get it. We understand that this movie was not made by a Catholic company, so of course it's not going to be perfectly Catholic. And really kudos to Angel Studios for even taking this on. We appreciate that so much. However, in a perfect world, we do wish that a few of the details could have been different.
But would we still recommend this movie? Absolutely yes. It is a beautiful tribute and a great reminder that we're all called to serve Jesus in the poor and the sick in every day and age.
However, we just want to throw out a caveat. This movie is probably not a good one for younger kids or even sensitive teenagers because it truly shows you what life was like in New York City at the time, how hard it was. There were definitely scenes that were difficult to watch.
So next we wanted to talk a little bit about this book, My Mission is the World, The Life of Mother Cabrini by Angela Martinoni.
So this is definitely a vintage book from the 1940s, but it gives you a really wonderful glimpse into the life of Mother Cabrini and what she was really like.
And the movie portrays her as a very serious, hardworking, determined nun, which she definitely was.
But she was also, surprisingly, a very gifted writer and a true nature lover.
So she loved the flowers and the oceans and the mountains, and even though her health was poor, she still traveled and she always relished the beauty of nature.
For instance, in one of her letters, she describes how excited she was to take a trip to Catalina Island off the coast of California, to go on a glass-bottom boat tour and see the flying fish. And oh my goodness, that story spoke to my heart so much because when I was a young girl, I took that exact same trip and I was just as excited as Mother Cabrini. So it was so much fun to find out that we have that in common.
So the book has a whole section of quotes from Mother Cabrini, and one of our favorites is, "You cannot do without Jesus. He is a happy necessity."
And the book has a ton of fun facts about her. For instance, she was the 13th child in her family, and despite how famous she became later on, she never liked publicity.
And surprisingly, she also really did not like the sight of blood or wounds and started off with an intense dislike for nursing.
So the story goes that she had a dream one night, and in it she saw the Blessed Mother tending to the sick and wounded. And of course, being Mother Cabrini, she rushed over to help her, but Mary looked at her and said, "No, that's all right. I don't want you to do this work. I know you don't like it." Well, that did not sit well with Mother Cabrini, and she determined right then and there that she was going to overcome her squeamishness, which she eventually did.
And then later on, one of the miracles attributed to her cause for sainthood was the cure of a baby named Peter, who was blinded at birth when one of the nurses accidentally put a solution of 50% silver nitrate in his eyes instead of the usual 1%.
So as you can imagine, the damage to his eyes was instantaneous and very severe, and the case was given up for hopeless. The doctor said he would always be blind. So the nurses and the sisters at the hospital decided that they would do an all-night prayer vigil and ask Mother Cabrini for her intercession to help Peter. When the next morning came and the doctors went to check on baby Peter, they found that his eyes had been fully restored to health. So that's pretty cool.
So we've fully enjoyed reading this book and getting to know her better. Another fun fact is that during her lifetime, she traveled over 42,000 miles by sea and over 15,000 miles on land, establishing hospitals, schools, orphanages, and there's a lot of pictures of those in this book.
She accomplished so much in her 67 years that it is really mind-boggling. So she's definitely one to get to know better. We just happened to read and like this one. We already had it. That's why we read it. But I know that there are many biographies out there that are good that you could also read about her.
So the Cabrini movie, definitely very good and definitely worth seeing, even though we wish it had been a little more Catholic.
So if you have already seen it, let us know in the comments what you thought. We would love to hear your opinion.
So we hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.